Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host. We've got quite a show for you today. In fact, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to introduce my guest hosts that are going to be with us today. And we're starting out with Rachelle Dixon. You know Rachelle. He's been here before. And then we've got Bob Williams. Bob is there. And then we've got Dwight Minnieweather. In fact, he happens to be a minister too, by the way. And you've seen him before on the show. But what we're going to do today, we're very fortunate to have been able to get a local, if you will, input on the show. Meaning that Steve Dunn of Your Voice, Your Vote, he's also a newscaster, also too, on Channel 2, did an excellent job in his show yesterday, which would have been the 11th, if you will, the 11th, and on his Your Voice, Your Vote. Beautiful deal. And what he did was that he took the opportunity to interview both Sam Adams and also Mayor Wheeler. Two mayors, one previous and one present. That'll be a very interesting piece. So he did that, and they basically talked for about, the whole show is an hour show, but what we did, we just basically picked up part of the show. You can always Google the show and get the whole text of the show if you want to, but we just basically got the first half of the show, because I want to make sure that that's going to be the top of our show, because there's some information there that we should know a bit and get the comments, if you will, from the from the co-hosts that are with me today, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the show, okay? So with that, we're just going on and show that first part of the show, okay? Steve Dunn of Channel 2, Your Voice, Your Vote. Excellent job.
This is Your Voice, Your Vote with Steve Dunn.
Hi, everybody. Good to have you with us on this Sunday, April 11th. There's hope that 2021 is the year that we're going to turn the corner on a number of Portland's most pressing issues. Today, we're talking about possible solutions to those problems and the effort to improve Portland's livability. This is really a crucial time for Portland leaders, residents, and businesses alike. And on this program, we have not one, but two people who have held the office of Portland Mayor, one current and one former. Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler has hired former Mayor Sam Adams to come up with an action plan. Thanks to both of you for coming on the program today. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Mayor Wheeler, of the major issues facing the city right now, we know we have a lot of them. What's number one on your priority list right now?
Well, number one right now is getting through COVID, getting to herd immunity, cleaning up the city, reopening the city of Portland, and letting people know that Portland is safe, that it's welcoming, and we're ready for the comeback.
Sam, I want to talk to you about, you've got extensive experience in City Hall. Of course, you were the mayor, you were a chief of staff for Vera Katz, a city commissioner as well, and your new job as director of strategic innovations. Tell us about the plan you're working on to address some of these big issues in the city right now.
Well, at the mayor's direction, we're leaning into that partnership that has made many of the things we love about Portland possible, and galvanizing the public, private, nonprofit, and community-based expertise and energy to address the issues of public safety, as the mayor mentioned, cleaning up the city, getting people back downtown and in other business districts across the city with events and activations, businesses, helping them open up, helping new businesses take the place where we have empty storefronts in some places, keeping our businesses in the city, Central City and beyond, and then working on our reputation and brand. It's been, a difficult year for Portland in the past year. Among other things, we had a president of the United States that just kept backing the presidential limousine over the city of Portland every chance he got. So those are we call them action tables, and that's where we're bringing together, again, that great combination of public, private, nonprofit, and community-based expertise and energy.
What kind of response are you both getting from Portlanders to these plans? Mayor Wheeler?
Oh, it's been overwhelming. People are really ready to lend their support. Sam mentioned the action tables. We have 5 of them. One that's focused on our reputation recovery and rebranding. We have another focused on safety. We have our clean and green table that's focused on litter collection and graffiti abatement. We have our business success and job creation roundtable, and then our community events table. And we've had lots of people from virtually every sector, every neighborhood express an interest in participating. And that's really what Portland's about. You know, people expect government to do our part to address litter and graffiti and address the homeless crisis and make sure that people feel safe. But it really is going to be the community at the end of the day that works with us in every neighborhood, in every business district to make real progress. And we're already seeing it.
It's an ambitious list, no doubt about it. Sam, can you give us some specifics about your plans to improve public safety here?
Well, the mayor's number one public safety priority is reducing the terrible spike in gun violence. And I'll leave it to him to talk about that. He had a big victory at City Council yesterday. This week, unified support among the City Council. I'll focus a little bit on the mayor's efforts to reduce the recreational vandalism that Portland has suffered from for too long. We've sat down with every sort of part of the law enforcement, criminal justice ecosystem, from the courts to the jails, the district attorney, obviously our own police bureau, 911, and created more alignment among those groups that are all independently managed, and created bandwidth to deal with and focus on this sense of impunity that has been we've witnessed for too long in Portland. And you know, it was on the 11th of March, after doing that sort of work between the various agencies, that we had a really successful apprehension of over 100 self-described anarchists that invited themselves to the Pearl District to do vandalism. We were able to detain them and get their pictures and their names. And among that crowd, you know, there were some there that I'm sure were just there to rally, but we captured a lot of dangerous weapons. And, you know, is this the end of anyone trying to do that? We're not saying that. But as a result of that, you know, vandalism is down significantly across the city and is significantly down in downtown.
You know, Sam, there's really, for a lot of folks, a sense of lawlessness throughout the city right now. Is that impacting or impeding your efforts to try and improve the city's reputation right now?
Well, like I said, I think that the fact that on mid-March, in the mayor's leadership, that we were able to detain over 100 self-described anarchists and, you know, get their ID and mask them for the first time in a long time, collect weapons, arrested 13, and we have the criminal justice system now more aligned to deal with this sort of ending and stopping and reducing this recreational vandalism. And that's important because we want to give more security to businesses, that they can take the plywood off their windows and be, you know, free from vandalism. Again, we're not saying that it's over and that nothing else will happen, but this is a significant improvement.
Mayor Wheeler, City Commissioners recently approved that $6 million plan to stop the surge of gun violence in Portland. None of that is going to the police bureau, though. What is the plan and how will this reduce gun violence?
Yeah, and I want to be perfectly clear. What was passed yesterday was unanimous. It was led by my three newest members of the City Council. They want to work collaboratively. They were looking for significant investments in community partners that work directly with individuals in the community who are impacted by gun violence. They also supported a number of managerial changes to coordinate the work that we're doing in different city bureaus. There was, in fact, resource there for increased investigative capacity for the police bureau. But I want to be clear, that's only part of the solution. We also are doing things within the police bureau that come into alignment with that. For example, last month we stood up what was called the Enhanced Community Safety Team. That was 12 investigators, 10 officers, 3 sergeants, and 2 analysts specifically focusing on 24/7 investigation of gun violence. And then we're also standing up something called the Focused Intervention Team. That's going to be 12 new officers, 2 sergeants, and again, some more analysts. They are going to be focused specifically on intervention activities and prevention activities. It won't be the old gang unit that people were concerned about. This is new because these folks, while they will be in the community and they will be officers and they will be focused specifically on addressing gun violence and homicides, they'll also have a community oversight mechanism and they'll be providing clear and transparent data to the public. So I think this is actually an improvement over the way we did it previously. And when you take these improvements and this increased capacity within the Portland Police Bureau and you combine it with the community-led efforts that my colleagues brought forward and we passed unanimously yesterday, I think that's a really good comprehensive package. It's not the end, but I think it's a really good comprehensive start. And there's some dollars that will be immediately deployed in the Police Bureau and in the community. And then there's also a path towards a longer-term cohesive strategy, not just for the city of Portland, but our other law enforcement and community partners as well. So I think it's a really good start.
We had a story yesterday where a guy was driving down the freeway 205 and someone going about 80 miles an hour, he estimated, hit him from behind and took off. And he called 911 and says he was told by a dispatcher, we don't have the resources, the staffing to cover this right now. Is that something that concerns both of you? And Sam, let me ask you that question.
Of course it concerns us, and there's no question that the Police Bureau is going to need more resources. But then, and as awful as that is, prioritizing person-to-person violence has always been the top priority of the Portland Police. And when you have an uptick in sort of this carnage of gun violence as quickly as we have, it's got to be the top priority in a period where there have been scant resources. I think that the mayor can comment on it, but I think part of what the opportunity here is for the Portland Police Bureau to earn the additional trust and to earn the support on the city council for more resources. And we're certainly going to work hard with them on that goal.
Do you see more resources coming, Mayor Wheeler?
I do, but as Sam just indicated, let's be honest. There's differences of opinion on the Portland City Council about whether or not new additional resources should go to the Police Bureau. I believe there should be additional resources. I believe we need to start hiring more officers. We need to be training specialty units again. So I'll continue to fight for that additional capacity. But as Sam just said, I have to prove to my colleagues that the Police Bureau can spend its resources effectively, respond in a comprehensive way, be accountable to the public that it serves. And we have this opportunity now with these new units focused on gun violence with a promise of community oversight and better data collection and dissemination to make that case to the City Council by the time our budget's finalized come June. So I'm optimistic. I also just want to clarify one thing. A lot of people do hear from the 911 dispatchers that a police officer will not be dispatched immediately for a particular issue. If there is no loss, if there's no immediate threat to the public safety, what will usually happen is those situations will then be referred to the investigative unit. If somebody was going down a highway, they were speeding and they ran into somebody and there are no injuries, I can guarantee you that the Portland Police Bureau will follow up. There are cameras. They probably will be able to identify that individual, and that person should not assume that they got away with it, because they probably did not.
I know I hear from a lot of folks who they don't feel safe going to Portland, particularly downtown right now, and perception is reality for a lot of folks right now. Sam, when do you think we'll turn the corner on making people feel safe in Portland again?
Well, I encourage people in a safe way, in a COVID safe way, to come downtown and take a look for yourself. There are parts of downtown that we have a lot of work to do on, but the vast majority of the central shopping district is very clean. A number of stores are open. So I encourage folks to come downtown and see for yourself.
Sam's right.
Go ahead,
we're,
Ted.
we're already starting to see foot traffic is picking up. More businesses are opening. People are coming downtown. The plywood boards, which were so ugly, those are coming down. They're off of the government buildings, and a lot of the private sector companies have started to reopen. And we're already seeing those green shoots of recovery. And so I really encourage people, come downtown, check it out. There's still work to do there, but it's already looking cleaner. A lot of the graffiti is now gone. We're doing a better job of picking up the litter. There's more of a police presence. The police aren't focused on nightly demonstrations or violence as much as they were this summer. So that means the police are back in the precincts and they're doing patrols throughout the area. I think people who are a little bit timid about this will be pleasantly surprised if they come down and take a look at it.
We got much more to talk about.
We'll break at that particular point. And again, as I indicated at the beginning, if you want to get the rest of the show, you can go on and Google this show that Steve Dunn just recently did, which is on the 11th, which is this past Sunday. And you can get it. You can get it back and get some other things. He talked about a couple other things, but I thought this would be probably the essence of what we want to talk about. And then I'm going to go on and start with Rachelle, and I'll start off by saying, well, Rachelle, you know, we have been talking about this issue of the fact that the mayor has not been able to do his job. In fact, a lot of people have displeasure from the standpoint that he should resign or whatever. And you were pretty adamant on that. We really talked about that aspect of it. Is this now a meeting of the new mayor to be, which would be Sam Adams now? Well, what's the deal?
Listening to that piece, I had a variety of different emotions, some of which were displayed on my face. I apologize that some of this sounded like foolishness to me. Some of it sounded like a bit of fraud, a bait and switch in terms of Ted Wheeler being elected. And then along with Ted Wheeler, we get a deputized mayor, Sam Adams, maybe. And listening to Sam Adams speak, he sounds like the person I would not like to be a neighbor with. He doesn't sound very friendly or very welcoming, although he talked about being welcoming and cleanliness and how many police, which seemed to be some dog whistling racism there. I'm not very familiar with this man because I moved away for a while. Went to Maryland and then came back to Portland when he was mayor. So it was at the end of his term. So I knew something about the scandal. What I didn't know and didn't hear about was that he wasn't a fan of Chinatown or that he was anti-Black. But listening to him describe the downtown area without one time bringing up Chinatown and the gentrification that happened there was shocking. And then also having him fawn over the police was shocking. And I think for a person that might describe himself as progressive, I don't see how anyone could vote for Sam Adams. And I'm sorry that he's in this position, you know, upon hearing this interview. I think definitely that I am not the audience for him. The audience was definitely white suburban person who has to come into downtown on occasion for entertainment. There are a lot of us who work and live downtown, and we want it to be okay immediately, right now, and safe for everyone. And the police don't make it safer for some of us. So the fact that he didn't acknowledge that, and he just went straight for the dog whistle, racist comment, I'd like to know how else I could have taken that. So when y'all, you know, give me some feedback, please let me know if you didn't hear the same thing I heard, and the complete over and over police officers. And what I heard as a result of that, and I'm not going to rely on what you would call my opinion, because my opinion really doesn't matter here, but I'm going to give you my professional assessment. If that's a piece of information that someone gave me and that we had to act on it or not act on it, okay? So intelligence is what I'm talking about. Information that's actionable. I would say that he is going to actually cause the scenario he doesn't want to see. So by pushing and telling everyone he's adding more police, he's doing the very thing that's going to get people to reject a common sense strategy. No one wants to be unsafe. From the houseless, they complain about their safety. People who are housed complain about their safety. Republicans complain about their safety. Democrats. I don't know anyone who doesn't want to feel safe in our city, right? So we all want to feel safe. How we go about that is different. So if we don't want to acknowledge that many of the houseless are the people who are victimized by the police, they end up in jail, and we pay for that, like $360 a night for that. So we ought to be a little bit more fiscally responsible. One, we ought to find different solutions to make us safe. Jail is not the way that we're going to be safe. Getting people off the street is the way we're going to be safe. Paying someone a living union wage to pick up the garbage. Who are these people who support the unions, and now they want everyone to start suddenly taking away the union's jobs by putting different just citizens picking up garbage? I mean, what is the union wage for that? Should we be doing that? I just see some bad policy making here. I'm going to turn it over. I could be here for hours talking about that.
I know that, and we don't want you to leave. We want more comments from you for sure. I mean, one of the ones I wanted you to spend a couple of minutes on, you can maybe do this next time around, is this whole issue of resigning. You know, we talked a little bit about it. I've talked to a number of people in the city, and they're right up front with you. They're basically, and then there's an organization, they got several organizations that are thinking about the idea of calling for a recall. They're calling for a recall. So we got a lot of dissatisfied folks. But the bottom line is that we've got issues, and I'm glad that Steve put that issue on the table today so we can have that discussion so we can just move on. Okay, so with that, I'm going to bring in Bob. Bob, how you doing?
Well, when I look at this, I'm going to say the glass is half full, not half empty. And that is, the mayor realized he was in trouble. So he went out and got someone that he thought could help him. He didn't only go get them on his own, but from just by what they were talking about, you can tell that the downtown, whoever they are, said, hey, you need help and here's your help. Not go, he didn't go looking for help. They gave him help. And so with that, they're now trying to appease. They're not trying to appease you and me as a common everyday citizen. They're trying to appease business in downtown Portland, i.e. 98 police officers left this force, and they understand 4 or 5 more are retiring in the end of this month or next month. So they're short 100 and some police officers. So naturally, they're going to talk about hiring more police. That's understandable. But what's not is when they say we're in partnership with who? They didn't say who these groups are that they're in partnership with. They talked about $6 million that's out there that for helping people for groups helping them with gun violence. They didn't say who these people are. How do they fit into the gun violence situation? Just because you have a organization don't mean that you know how to deal with gun violence. It's throwing money after an issue without going in and trying to resolve the issue because you are hired to or elected to do those things. I could just skip and like Rachelle said, there's so much I was getting out of this. I started taking notes.
You're right.
Reducing gun violence. The easiest way to reduce gun violence is to not stop selling guns, but register those guns so you know who have them. And people, if you know who have the gun, just like you know who's driving the car, then people won't be trying to go out and do things. They might protect themselves, but they won't go out and just shoot people at random, like what's going on in Portland right now and certain nights. $6 million to reduce gun violence. They are outside of the police. Who are the people that they're giving this money to? You know, what is the expectation of those people? Is the citizens involved? How, you know, what's what? Safety going, he said it's safe going downtown. Last time I was downtown, it looked like a demilitarized zone. I mean, all they were missing was tanks and machine guns mounted on buildings. It was ridiculous. The place that I went to go to downtown, it's all glass and it was boarded up and no one was there. You know, so, you know, it's a lot of cannon fodder is what I heard. I.e., I'm talking loud, I'm saying something, but I ain't doing nothing. You know, and I'll quit right there. You know, you need somebody that's gonna give me some action. We've been getting words all along. We need some action.
Okay, Bob, we're going to give you a short time. Get yourself, and then we're going to bring you back in to the flow because, like you said, there was a lot being said there, and we definitely want to comment. And a lot of citizens would have done the same, if you will. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to bring in Dwight. He happens to be a minister also too, as all some of his other capacities. He has a nonprofit organization, works very closely with the homeless out there, and he does a lot of things in the community along that particular line. So I want to see if I can get his feel about all of the positive things that he was hearing from the two mayors, what they're doing and what they're planning on doing. Do you feel that that's kind of like where we're going now as far as solving the problems, Dwight? What from your standpoint?
Well, I'm kind of just gonna pretty much piggyback off of the two statements made by both of the colleagues on here. That there was just a lot of, to me, a lot of conversation and no real information about what is the actual process and what's taking place in what they call gun reform. I mean, they're talking about getting the gun violence under the control. We're trying to figure out, well, who are they using and what kind of strategies are they using to get these guns under control? And then beyond that, just to think about, that one part of the show where it said, that there was 100 arrests. And then we're looking at us and, well, where are the pictures? Where are the people? I mean, who did they arrest? Because I'm sure on any other level, we'd have saw the faces and we would know who the 100 people was. If it was the right faces, we would have saw 100 of them, all 100. None of them would have been excluded. And it's just pretty strange to me that, like you said, is that all of a sudden the business sectors, they're just wanting to be able to do business again and get back to their money thing. So now they look like he said, they're bringing in the I guess assistant. I'm really shocked at the assistant mayor. I'm like, wait a minute, we got a mayor that can't do it, and you brought another one that was the mayor. You combinate them together, I guess. We got one mayor and two. I don't know what they're doing with this one, but it's truly amazing just to see how they're making these statements about how clean this thing is and how things are changing. And it's actually not cleaner. It's actually not changing the way that they described it, and how nice it's going to be. And I'm dealing with the homeless, houseless every day. I'm in their community. I'm seeing the mess. I'm seeing how they're driving them from one neighborhood to another neighborhood. I was doing videos the other day, and I said, well, they put up the signs for them to vacate. So I just made a statement, coming to your neighborhood soon. Because if they kick them out of one neighborhood and don't have no recourse, they're going to just go someplace else. And it might be your front yard. We don't know, because they're just moving things around and trying to make us feel like there's something taking place. And I said, $6 million. I'm like, where's the $6 million going? And what are they going to do with the $6 million that's going to actually stop the young African-American people that I deal with, that I know of, their parents, from having their kids laying in the middle of our streets, shot, and it's becoming so frustrating, because it's like we go back to the old tactics, do the old things, and then they come and say the same, rhetoric. They say the same things over and over, and they just leave us in the same position where at the end, we're having another meeting about the meeting. So I'm trying to figure out where we're going to come up with something that we all can say is tangible, that does do, because they're saying they're using nonprofit. I'm a nonprofit. Nobody's calling me. I've been working 20 years in the city. I didn't know one's emailing me, hey, Minnieweather, come to the table. We're talking about resolving some things that you worked very heavily with. I worked with the police for over 3 years in gang violence. We had a basketball camp, late night basketball, where we had people coming and we were mixing things together, and we were coming up with a good result in our community, trying to mend some trust with the police. They stopped that program, and now we're just really way down the road years later, and I'm looking like, man, this really got crazy. So I mean, for me, I'm born and raised here, 1960, born right here in Portland, Oregon. This is my home, and I'm doing an event coming up soon in July. Just want to know, where are the roses? We the city, but where's the roses? The roses are gone. We need our roses back. We need to be able to enjoy our stuff, and then they need to be more open on what the concept of remending this is.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go back. We'll just go backwards or whatever. But some of the things that were missing in that sort of interview, one, I did not, the mayor naturally has the task of the police commissioner, but then we also are part of the county. And we got the largest county in Multnomah County. Kind of a segment, and it's kind of overlaps. That's district number 2. In the overlap city of Portland aspect of it. But for instance, that was supposed to be a kind of a joint venture, the mental illness and this, that, and other. There was no talk about those kinds of situations. That deal with the housing aspect of it. And I know Rachelle has spent a lot of time in that end of it, housing and the mental illness and things of that nature. And then what about the sheriff? He's an elected position. At one point in time, he was a police chief. I mean, should he have not been in this conversation in terms of where we're going to be going? And that just brings the point up about what Bob said from the standpoint he was just talking about the folks down in the business community. What about the people in the city proper, across Portland, all over Portland for that matter? They weren't talking about that particular situation, which is a very unusual situation. And then what about Chief Lavelle? I mean, there's a chief of police, and you would think if they were going to be talking about anything with gun violence or whatever, arrests or corralling people, and you know what I mean, showing the photos and this, that, and other, the police chief should have been there, And then the other, because we do have this issue still hanging over our head, and that is, where is the president of the police union for Portland Police, Darrell Turner? Darrell Turner is back. He retired in January, and they brought him back to town. And, in fact, I was thinking that he might have been in that second chair rather than Sam. At least he had police background. I mean, he should have been sitting in that chair saying, "Okay, fine. I'm now a consultant to the city of Portland." Because you don't have a police commissioner there. See, so maybe someone can communicate with him, because he does have access to the ground troops, to the people that are actually dealing with folks every day, even though there's an issue with that too. See, so the key is that there's a lot to be said about what's going on, and I'm really getting excited about the fact that because Dan, let's see, I'm talking about my Deerfield. I lose my numbers sometimes. I'm going so fast on this aspect of it. But Steve Dunn, I mean, he did such a good job on that piece, but he's somewhat limited because he really doesn't know the community as a total. He's tried, don't get me wrong, he's tried quite a bit, a number of times, on a number of his shows. But in all due respect, you got to know the total community. And that's what we expect of our mayor. The mayor's not, the mayor's his job. That's his job, to be able to deal and delegate, if you will. But you can't delegate if you're not aware and you don't have the right resume. And that's just where it goes. So why don't we go back and we'll start again with Rachelle. What do you think, Rachelle? I'm sure you got some other pieces.
I have so much to say.
I know. We're going to do what we can.
This is mind-blowing. This is mind-blowing. Was it just me? First of all, I want to say that this is 2021. Trump is out of office. Can you stop blaming Trump for your failures?
Good job.
Okay?
Yeah. Right.
So whatever we have now, that's what we're starting with. That's you, me, everybody else. But when I heard Sam Adams bring out Trump, I don't even want to speak the man's name. But as he was talking about Trump, he was talking like Trump. I got confused for a moment. Was it just me? Because I heard some authoritarian, oh, we brought out 100 police, we made this many arrests. And if you want to bring resources to bear, I'm all for more resources. One, I would say that we need to, I'm going to get to the police too, because I'm going to say something that might be a little shocking to you about police. There's one kind of police officer I want to see back. Only one. Until we abolish the police, let's recognize that we're going to have them. Right now, this is the system that we have. So we could bring back the mounted police, the ones on horses that interact with the citizens. That's the ones we got rid of. Those are the ones we need. That's the ones people talk to. They come up and talk to them. They talk about the horse. They're ambassadors to the city, right? Okay. Now, what we have is a bunch of police officers that aren't even from our city. It's like 80% weren't from our city. Now, a lot of them are going back to their own cities. But it's so much easier to brutalize people when they're not in your city. So we didn't talk about police brutality. We talked about safety. But can we talk about safety in terms of what makes African Americans safe and Asians safe? I didn't hear Sam Adams talk about either. So when I talk about, I heard some anti-Blackness coming up, I'm reading in between the lines, right? Because we've had some issues with the Asian community, we've had some issues with the African American community, and we haven't received a lot of support. So I thought what Sam Adams was saying was just like offensive. He should have just left. He should have just got up and left. He was so confident in what he was saying, but I was like, am I going too far here? But to me, he said, I thought he was on the Republican Trump side. I'm like, really? Well, and I used to watch him on Portlandia. I thought it was funny. But you know what? I don't want my city to become a joke. And my city is a joke right now. We're just getting laughed at. We're the laughing stock. Yeah. I've had people call me from India. I've been in the New York Times, Washington Post. And it's just time to stop all this. When they break windows, okay, that is what did Martin Luther King say? The riot is the language of the unheard. A riot is the language of the unheard. But I also don't want to confuse that there are some people out there who aren't there to break windows. There are some people out there who are there to have a conversation. And if the mayor was having the right conversation, not one person would need to go downtown and take up hours out of their weekend to go downtown and protest. Because I assure you, the summer's coming, good weather's coming. You know, we all want to be outside. We don't want to be at a protest. Why doesn't he just listen to us, have some meetings where he doesn't cut us off, where he's not rude, and where Sam Adams could be present, and we could tell him to pack up and go away because he's not elected. Why is he being represented as the mayor? I mean, that seemed like an equal conversation, but maybe it's just me. But okay, I'm gonna let it go now. Maybe it's just me. What are you thinking over there?
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, Bob, you're on. I know you're ready now for a couple more comments. Looking good.
Well, you know, I listened to what they were saying, and I'm gonna say this again. Their conversation was not designed for you and me.
Yeah.
It was designed to make white business owners in downtown Portland feel confident enough to come back. That's plain and simple. You have to understand who their audience is supposed to be. What did they didn't give you one thing that says, hey, for the Asian community, they didn't give you one thing. For the Arab community, they didn't give you one thing. For the Black community, they talked about business in downtown Portland. And so once you understand what their intent was, then you can understand what they're saying. And now you can formulate your ideas for what you want. And I understand them perfectly. They want business back in downtown Portland. They want us to feel safe in downtown Portland. They're not talking about the homeless along I-205 or 84. They're not talking about the person that just lost their apartment because the rent just went up. They're not talking about the person that lost their job. They're talking about business that is not open in downtown Portland. And that's their one thing that they have their eye on. We have to make sure that they don't have blinders on where they can't have peripheral vision and see what they were elected for, which is to make the citizens of this community whole. They're not doing that. They're trying to do one thing, make business feel comfortable and make people feel comfortable enough to come and patronize those businesses, plain and simple. So all the other things, that's not on their board right now.
Rachelle, respond. I'm sorry.
So I wanted to say, Robert, I totally agree with you that that is what they're trying to do. I just want to let you know, as a person whose office is located right outside of downtown, right at the end of the bridge, that I don't feel safe. I've been robbed 5 times. Only 3 of them have been in this area, but it's ridiculous. Okay, car been smashed, have to replace the glass. I like the area. I like to be able to walk downtown. It's beautiful to walk the waterfront. I don't feel safe. I feel like if I'm wearing the wrong shoes, I might step on a needle. I tried to walk over the bridge. There's some dog waste. Come on. This is not making anybody feel safer. I'm one of those people who want to go downtown. I've always aspired to have a shop downtown because, you know, I like to shop. Everybody likes to shop, right? Well, you know, I don't shop as much as I used to, but all of the time there's these little specialty shops. It's part of our attraction. You know, we got the quirky shops, and you can go down there and you find all these little cute things, you know, handcrafted things. We have a lot of artists here, but now I don't feel safe. And talking about, that's during the day. But what do you feel like at night? Who's going to go down to dinner downtown or theater? You lose your appetite driving to the dinner. Am I right? You lose your appetite.
You're 100% right. And everything you're saying is 100% right. No one feels safe in downtown Portland.
Let's get on it.
And therefore, they're trying to make people, they're giving you this vision of safety. And it's not there. You know, and the people that they're talking about spending money on to make things safe, we know nothing about them or who they are.
Good. All right, Dwight, what do you think so far?
Hey, like I said, I think that we all are right there on the money of knowing what this conversation is about and what the situation that was drawn before us was about. And it's simple. They just pinpointed every part of it, you know. But again, it's like I said, you know, it's very embarrassing to just realize that even if I wanted to just go and take my wife downtown and do some shopping or walk with the kids, that I already know what I'm going to see. I already know what the atmosphere is going to be like. I don't think I've been downtown since the first night of the protest or second night. I kind of just faded away and just watched. And what I really understand is that it is important for us to understand how the downtown community works. And I agree with Bob, is that there's a lot of things that they want to do for their narrative to make sure that they're financially doing the things that they desire to do in the business sector. But for us, just the normal people, we have to make a statement. We got to tell them that we want our city, we want the city back, we want our parks back. We want to drive down the freeway without seeing half of the dump on the side of the freeway. I mean, you drive down, it looks like the Portland dump. Just stuff everywhere, and it's just like, I don't understand. And again, I'm just really going to say this one. I just don't understand, how did they just send us a deputy without us even saying who the deputy is? Just go and get old Sam and send us Deputy Sam to come in and work with Sheriff Wheeler, and they're going to run the whole situation, Deputy Sam and Sheriff Wheeler. It's kind of like Andy Griffin and that other guy, I think, a little bit. But I'm just shocked, man. I'm flabbergasted. I don't even have enough thought process to even try to play out this, because it really is emotionally sad. It's really not It's not positive at all. But hey, we're here and we got to make some noise. Got to let them know they work for us.
Let me throw something else on the table for all of you to comment on, and that is that one point that Will was making was the fact that on that $6 million that he had, he indicated, he said, well, they voted on this particular issue. Naturally, there's no money for police on that aspect of it. But my three colleagues who voted on this piece, they excluded Joanne Hardesty. They excluded her. Now, it was well known that early on, Joanne Hardesty had the majority vote. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, she lost those votes. Okay? And yet still, Wheeler could not at least tell those three that he had, that look here, we're going to spend $6 million on the troops. He's the police commissioner. And that didn't happen. So, and so, like I said, in so many words, is that he was voted down on where the money should go, supposedly, from the three. Or was he just acting, just basically running for office? Or I'm thinking about Rachelle now when she talks about the fact that the guy wants to, he's worried about this recall situation, and our folks are displeased with him, bottom line. And so I thought that was interesting, throwing that on the table. They've got to deal with the issue of the troops. Public safety, also, basically, they require, if you will, some kind of staffing to deal with that piece. Because people will break the law if you don't have people on the ground, if you will. You got me? And so, but again, too, like I said, they brought Daryl Turner is back. You got the sheriff Reese, Sheriff Mike Reese. I mean, those people should have been sitting at that table too, to really sit down and address why aren't we not getting monies to get more staffers on the street, whether it be pro or con. But the discussion should be had, because right now people are scared. A lot of people are scared in the communities across the board, and a lot of things are happening. I'm just throwing that on the table. What do you think about that? Should they have not spent more time a little bit on the whole issue of police? Rachelle, I'm gonna jump in on you real quick. Like, what do you think?
I think he should have spent more time on the houseless and getting them into places and off the street, because we know that half of the police calls are on people who are homeless and houseless. So we want to reduce the budget. The quickest way to reduce the budget, our expenditures, is to stop calling the police on the houseless for living, for making noise, for urinating in public. What's the answer to that? A porta potty. So we need to make sure before we start spending money on police that we're putting resources into our social services to remove these people from the street. And also, we have to pick up the garbage. It is unsanitary. Last year, you may not know this, but there was a case of Shingella, something like that. Shingella. And I thought, what is that? I was like, what is that?
For the city, the county, the state, money comes in some of the money comes in buckets. There's a bucket of money for the police. There's a bucket of money for infrastructure. There's a bucket of money for different things, and then there's your general fund where you use some of that money to offset some of the other things. And when you listen to Sam and you listen to Ted, they're just dealing with the small bucket of $6 million. $6 million sounds like a lot to a person that's used to living off of $2,000 a month, But really and truthfully, in government, $6 million is like a gnat on the elephant's behind, And so it just amazes me at how they throw this stuff out there and just to see where it'll stick. Mm-hmm. It's not with any purpose. It's just to see where it'll stick. One of the things you brought up is the police. It was either Sam said, I'm not going to talk about the police. I'm going to leave that to the mayor.
Right.
And, because he didn't want to stick his nose in that hot oil. But the other part of it was the mayor said that they're putting together money to bring back certain things that the people have said they didn't want, but they're going to be new and improved. It just cracked me up. I'm like, man, what does it take for you to get them to get it? And the reason is real simple. American citizens have a short attention span. We have commercial attention span. That's why you can't watch a full 30-minute show. They have to break it up in segments of 10 to 8 minutes and give you a 2-minute commercial so you can relax and get back, I'm ready again. And then they give you 8 minutes more. And that's what government has learned. And that's what government do to the people. They give them 8 minutes. Okay, let's see if this will stick. We know you're talking about defund the police, but we need to we need more police. We need more police because you're calling and there's no one to come. So now we need funds for that. And the people are going, we do need them. Where 12 months ago, they were like, defund the police. And now they're going, we need them. As long as I can keep you on that teeter-totter, up and down, you'll never be able to go forward because you're going up and down. So how do we get things to go forward in this society? I.e., I don't say defund the police. I say make sure that the police treat me the same way they treat their white neighbor. If they're shooting him, then I can understand them shooting me. But if they're giving him a ticket, then they should be giving me a ticket, not shooting me. Those are the things that we need to be getting straight. We need to get straight that, hey, if you got $6 million here, well, how are you dividing up the $6 million and who is it going to? I didn't hear one agency or anything else that they're giving money to. I know of one, and when I saw it on TV, my question was, what do they do in the community where gun violence is? But I ain't gonna name them. I'm gonna let the mayor name them.
I know one too.
Yeah. I watch. As a union rep, you learn to watch, listen, and learn. You watch what's going on, you listen to what people are saying, and you learn from that on how to combat it or accept it and move on. And right now, people are so confused and so tired, they're just accepting, but they're not moving on. That's what I see.
Okay, and like you said, man, I think I know one. I saw him on the show, on the mayor's show. I mean, how much did he give Sam? If he didn't, did they vote on the money? Did you bring Sam in? I mean, we do have a city council, It's supposed to be a vote. And how can this guy just become a mayor? That's why I made the point on the front end. This was just an introduction of the new mayor to be expected in the future. What's he leave? Getting the head run.
I thought he was a consultant. That was the word that was going around. Sam is a consultant.
He didn't say consultant.
Now he's a hired hand because then he has a title, a city title.
Yes, that's right. And if you notice
whoa, okay.
You notice how Steve, and the way Steve did it, the more difficult stuff, he went to Sam. Damn.
Yep. Sure did.
And then the lightweight stuff, he went to the mayor. And then the mayor started talking. I didn't know what he was talking about. He started rattling there for a minute. I didn't know what was going on. What do you think? What do you think, Dwight?
I think it's like when I think about something, I said, man, you can put a blindfold on the brother and give him a handful of darts. He'll hit the board somewhere. He just had 100 darts in his hand and just aimed with no aim and just threw up. One of them stick somewhere, please.
That's right. And I really feel like it was sort of an insult. I'm looking at the show, right? I've been around, you've been around. People have been around. We're not dumb out here. As citizens, we're paying the bill. You got me? And someone's just going to sit up there and say, we got $6 million and we're going to do it this way and this way. And then the first thing you say is, where's the money going to go? I would have liked to see some people comment. So-and-so got this money for this and this, that, and that. And this is going to be the results. The roses are going to be planted, just simple roses. Just dig a hole in the ground and give people roses like they plant trees all over the world, right? You got me?
Amen.
But you didn't there was nothing done there. I mean, it was just like an insult to a certain degree. And
right quick, I can give you a perfect example of something they could do with some of that money. I just drove from Jansen Beach back out to 205, took I-5. When you come down I-5 and you got tents on the side up against on the side.
Right.
When you get ready to go from I-5 to 84, it looked like a sewage dump. It looked like a garbage yard over there.
Yep.
It is downright ridiculous. They could find out some of these people that are out of work. They could hire some of these people to clean up at $10 an hour, $12 an hour. Bingo. Now some of that is going to beautify the city. But what happened was I looked up the hill and there was a tent city up there. So what they're doing is throwing all their garbage down the hill. Up there where they are, it's probably clean, but man, down below them, it's filthy. Those are the things that we have to tell these people that don't live in the city or live on the edges of the city what's going on inside the city and the things we see. If we don't tell them, they're going to do what they think is right, which is help their friends and family members.
But I'm gonna tell them something, and if they steal the idea, y'all can clearly say you heard it here first.
Okay, go on.
You can be my witnesses that they stole it from me. I'm telling you, we need a houseless workforce program. We need to be able to have a houseless workforce program where we can hire those that are houseless to earn an income to invest back into themselves.
Right.
And they don't have ID, they don't have a bunch of stuff. So we need to put something together that just identifies them, that they can come and have a mailing address at a place where they don't have to say they have no address, and they can be able to rebuild themselves. But if you don't put a houseless employment division together, then you're not going to be able to help them, because we can't just give them the money.
That's right.
But if we hire them to clean up the same things that they see around, they're more than glad to earn that income. They're more than glad to go to work, but no one's offering them a job. They're offering them a handful of chicken, handful of fruit, but ain't nobody offering them employment.
That's true. Bruce, I want to say, did you notice?
You back?
Yeah, okay. I just want to say, did you notice Ted Wheeler reading what he was going to accomplish? I know it was a lot that he was saying that he was going to accomplish. But I just feel like there was a lack of passion there, and it was such a lack of passion that he couldn't even remember the things that he said he was going to accomplish. That concerned me. It concerned me a lot how Sam Adams felt quite comfortable. What I felt like was basically speaking out of turn. No one elected him to be the mayor. He's no longer the mayor. And so I think it's fine for him to consult in a very non-public way, but the way that he did it, I think, was just, I can't understand it. And cleaning up downtown is hardly enough. We have an entire city that is suffering, and we pay taxes for a reason. So we expect that the government is going to start, taking care of this. This is another emergency. This is like when FEMA goes into a disaster area and they try and secure the water to make the water clean and whatever. I saw a bunch of trash near a stream the other day. So we're talking about climate change and the environment. What do you think it's going to do when human waste is in some of these streams? and we have trash in these streets. I mean, I see the faces as you're just shaking your head. It's so disgusting, but it's not just hurting us. It's not just hurting the businesses. It's hurting the animals and our environment too. And we are not acting fast enough. And Mayor Wheeler is not acting fast enough. This should have been handled a year ago. Why did we need to wait until COVID to start determining that people sleeping outside was an environmental hazard and a health hazard to all of us? So like if you go to places like Baltimore or New York, you know, we have mice here like this big, but we also have the Norwood rat, which is those big kind of sewer rats.
Right.
Imagine how big those sewer rats are getting right now. Think about it, okay? This is gonna be the stuff of nightmares, okay? Nightmares, because we're gonna have dysentery, which is the Shingilla dysentery that started last year at these camps. We're gonna have more of that.
Cholera is coming to your city real soon.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is like, we need FEMA trailers down here or something, and we need some cleanup. This is disgusting.
Yes.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
like pre-1970, pre-EPA, dumping in the rivers and things.
I'm willing to go to the next city council meeting with you all, and we make sure that we are doing their public speaking moment, that we bring that to their attention.
Well, they still, Bob, they still Zoom. You don't anymore.
Let's do it.
No, it's a Zoom job. And I don't know how, I don't think you tell me, Rachelle, do they video people out in the audience, or there's
I don't know if they video, but you can still give testimony, whether it be written or just verbal. You can definitely still give testimony.
We could also come together and give them a written, give it to them in writing.
But I did want to mention about what Rachelle mentioned about the fact that like Miller was basically reading from a script aspect of it. If you notice that at the beginning of the show, Steve Dunn said very clearly that in fact they basically videoed on Thursday. So that's right. So they videoed on Thursday. So consequently they had 3 days to edit everything that was there. They might have shot this 3 or 4 times. I mean, that's right. So folks, good show. And look, we're gonna go and I'll see you next week. Okay, good time. Take care.
God bless. I love you guys.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Hey,